Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another day of the Design Nuances Edu Series. And I'm just going to share my screen now. Give me 1 second.
Amigo, powering on.
Okay, you can
Power
see
on.
my screen.
Plugged into Nirvana. Your device is ready.
Yeah, so you can see my screen. Right, so the objective of the Design Nuances Edu Series is to learn a nuance specific to the topic of design, fashion, or architecture, interact with an expert, and understand and absorb the knowledge that they share. And also, the experts that we invite represent various design schools. And the idea is to get introduced to a new school, understand how the faculty could break down a very complex topic into a very simple, understandable solution. And today's team is from Shivnadar University, the Delhi NCR campus, and is a very interesting image here because you see these smileys, very different smileys here, and the topic is effective computing understanding for designing for emotional interaction, right? Computing for emotional interaction. Very interesting topic here, and we thought it was very relevant to the current batch or the upcoming students, and who other than Dr. Vikash Kumar to speak about this. Dr. Kumar is an engineer, a designer, a researcher, and currently serving as an assistant professor and admissions coordinator for the BDES program at the Department of Design, Shiv Nadar University. Please note this is an institution of eminence, right? And we have Neeraj Topani, who will probably tell us a little more about what an institution of eminence is, but we'll get that in later. So Dr. Vikash is a chief expert in industrial design technology at the India Skills 2024. 2024 under the Media Entertainment Skills Council and NSDC, right? So Dr. Kumar is an alumnus of the Department of Design at IIT Guwahati. He's done over 10 years of academic and research experience. And before joining Shiv Nadar, he was an assistant project engineer at the Center for Education Technology at IIT Guwahati and a program analyst with Cognizant Technology Solutions in Chennai. For those of you who would like to consider Shiv Nadar University, please go on to DQ Edge. They're listed there. We would like you to go on and understand a little more about the school. And I will also be posting the application link. So if you're a 2024 aspirant and you're looking forward to schools this year, joining schools this year, Shiv Nadar is one of the schools you could consider. I'll share the link in the application. I'll share the application link uh, in the chat box, right? But also, I think now it's time to hand over this back to Dr. Vikash Kumar. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing. Dr. Vikash Kumar, back to you.
Thank you, Dion. And first of all, let me thank DQ Labs for inviting us to talk on a topic. And it is always, kind of a pleasant experience, when I came to Bangalore and I visited your uh, place where, training and teaching and those kind of things happen. And that was a pleasurable experience. So without delay, let's start. Let me very quickly share my presentation. Just kindly confirm whether it is visible or not.
Yes, it's visible. You can go on.
So to start with, as far as the title of the talk is concerned, I have slightly tweaked it. And I feel that this actually captures the essence of what I'm going to talk today in a better way. So the title is usability, and most of you may be already familiar with the term usability. to emotional impact. So designing for usability to emotional impact, and how we can leverage affective computing in kind of doing that in emotional impact related design. So that is what today's topic is going to be. And if you talk the broad overview of the whole talk, so I'll very briefly start with understanding designing. When I say understanding designing means design as an activity, then we will very quickly move towards what is designing for usability, in terms of what is usability, what are its key aspects, and then the user-centered design problem process, which most of us are already familiar with. And then slowly we will move to design for emotional impact, what it means, what are the different approaches which is available in design for emotion, what are the major challenges, and then one of the challenges we will pick up, which probably, kind of affect computing may be helpful in kind of solving. So we'll discuss in that what is affect computing exactly, what are the advances in emotion detection, a different kind of techniques. Say, for example, I'll be covering EEG and eye movement recorder along with virtual reality, and how we can kind of conduct experiments, and then few of the areas of application that may be there. And towards the end, I would be happy to take some questions. So let us very quickly start with the first thing, what is design. And the moment I say design, it is both used as a noun as well as a verb. And in the current context, in the context of this particular presentation, I'll be quite often using it as a verb activity. So this is how the working definition I have coined. So design is an activity of conceptualizing the world of artificial that satisfy human needs, wants, and desires. So there is something called natural world. There is something called world of artificials. And design is an activity which in a way conceptualize that world of artificial. Why we are conceptualizing? Because there are certain needs, want, and desire of the people in order to satisfy that. Now, talking about the world of artificial, one can kind of come up with different ways of understanding this world of artificial. One of the way is, the world of artificial consists of different types of product. Few of the products may be from 2D to 3D products. Then, different types of services, systems. So this is one of the way in which we can express this world of artificial. As far as design as now, it talks about the end product. Whatever activity is yielding to, that is what design as noun is. And it refers to the kind of world of artificial. It can be product, services, system that I have already kind of talked about. Now, if we have to kind of, in a very layman's term, try to understand what is this whole activity of designing. We have talked about creating the world of artificial, but what is the process? So normally it starts with, a kind of ill-defined problem or a need state. And then our objective as a designer is to reach towards a kind of a solution or a product that satisfies our need. And normally we assume that there is a process, a step-by-step process that will take us from the problem to the solution. However, this process is, not a linear process. It is highly iterative, and many a times, it is very difficult to tell exactly in a given context if a problem exists, how it will be solved. And that is why designing as an activity becomes a little more complicated. However, to simplify that, that is one thing which we always keep at the center, and that is who the user is going to be it an individual user, group of user, or the society at large. So our process of designing, whatever process we follow, we try to always keep human perspective in view, while solving any kind of problem. So in a way, this is a very kind of, simplistic understanding of design as an activity. Let's take an example. So there is a rock, right? And I need to put nail on a wall. I can use a rock, right? Now, in a way, my need is fulfilled, because I need to, and this rock can help me in putting a nail in the wall. But slowly, if we add a handle to it, probably there is a chance that I can perform my task in a slightly better way. and then sometimes technology and other kind of things limits, so say for example, in the Stone Age, probably iron was not introduced, was not known how it can be manipulated and things like that. But once that came, you kind of go towards, a better way of fulfilling our need and requirement. So in a way, design process is actually doing and making product more usable. So I'm using a term usable and usability. So overall, if you see, most of the time designers design products to make it more usable for the usability. Here is a very quick definition of usability. So usability refers to the ease with which user can interact with a product, whatever the world of artificial may be. That can be a product, service, system, to achieve specific goals effectively, efficiently, and with a certain level of satisfaction. So if you see, these actually indicates, all the aspects of user experience design. So that is in the initial stages. Now, talking in terms of a hammer or, such kind of simplistic product, it is very easy for someone to kind of, perform this activity of designing. However, consider a complex system, something like, say, for example, recently we have concluded with election. So a voter service portal. Now it has so many functionalities, into it, and so many things it does. There are different types of user. There is a variety of user which this particular website caters to. Now, this is a place where you need specific set of training to understand now what is usability in this particular context. So few of the key aspects and different set of authors and different set of books actually add and subtract few of the kind of aspects. But few of the key aspects of usability start with obviously effectiveness. So how do you measure effectiveness? So in a way, if you define effectiveness, it is like the accuracy and the completeness with which user can achieve their goals using product, service, system, or even an experience. What are few of the indicators of an effective product, or service or a system? It may be kind of a few of the indicators may be task completion rate. If I want to achieve, if I want to check my voter ID, how many times and how many people actually can do it very successfully. So task completion rate, how many times I do some kind of error, what is the error rate? And if I have done some error, if I have gone to a wrong place, then how I recover out of it. So these are few of the kind of indicators of effectiveness of any product or system. Second indicator or aspect of usability is efficiency. So say, for example, the resources expended in relation to accuracy and completeness of the goals achieved. Few of the kind of indicators may be task completion time. So how much time does it take for me to complete my task? Lesser is always better. Or we can talk in terms of number of steps required to complete a task. Sometimes, in kind of digital product setting, number of clicks is also counted to kind of understand the efficiency of any product. And definitely the cognitive load of the user. Now, I have highlighted the cognitive load, in a way, because that is not something which is directly observable, and that cannot be known, uh, uh, from kind of any kind of existing, say, for example, task completion rate. I can say that if I have given the task to 100 users, out of that 80 have completed the task, it gives us some data to kind of make me understand effectiveness. Similarly, efficiency, task completion time can be an indicator. But for cognitive load, there is a different, and that is what the reason why I have highlighted. And today's topic some way relates with these kind of abstract mental processes and things. The third key aspects of usability is satisfaction, the user's comfort and positive attitude towards the use of the system. Say, for example, it can be done via user satisfaction survey. There are some different kind of survey and techniques, net promoter scores and things like that, which test the brand loyalty and things like that. Through that, we can capture user experiences and what is their level of satisfaction. Then learnability is another important aspect of kind of designing. So how easy it is for a first time user to kind of perform the task, and whether the learning time, how much time it take me to kind of perform a certain task in on a particular product. So learning time, number of errors made during that learning phase, and the ease with which I recover from that error, find help and guidance without any human being interference, and kind of. So those are all kind of key aspects of usability. Couple of more, say for example, memorability. How easy it is for a user. Say for example, I have kind of used this voter information portal this year. Now I need to use it maybe after a year or maybe after 2 years, the next election. Now, how easy it is for a user to return to the system after a period of not using it and then perform the task without having to kind of put a lot of effort and relearn everything. So say, for example, once again, that can be a longitudinal study which can be done to understand what is the time taking to refamiliarize with the system and the ease of recalling things, what are the kind of tabs and, kind of clicks which you have built. Accessibility, and, that has come very strongly in recent years. That is the degree to which a product or a system can be used with the widest range of capabilities. So say, for example, someone having disability, or say, for example, special needed sort of people. Currently, aging population is one of the kind of thing where accessibility is very, very important, especially. So very recently, I was working with one of my student on that. If we try to see this payment wallets, Paytm and such kind of payment wallet, you will realize that a large chunk of old age population, when I say old age means population who is above the age of 50, 55, you will see that they hesitate in using such kind of application. And it was very interesting for us that what were the usability related issues which they were facing, which probably, you know, uh, normal people who from day one, since birth, might have seen computers or mobile phone. For them, what are the kind of mental model and how they kind of see and why they don't use it. So that was so kind of bringing accessibility for even those kind of people, is a part of usability. Now, how to build usability, and over a period of time, we came up with this human-centered design process, and I guess this particular, especially the second image, is already familiar with most of you. We label it by different names. We call it as design thinking or design process and user-centered design process and all. So my focus is not on how you lay down the process. My focus is to understand the essence of the process and how it helps you as a designer to start with a problem or a need and end up in a solution that satisfies user needs, want, and desire. So in a way, it starts with empathy, where you attempt to understand people, their requirement. The requirement can be physical requirement, functional requirement. The requirement can be ergonomic requirement. The requirement can be even psychological, and then based on that, you proceed further, you ideate, you prototype, you test whether it works or not. And this is a reiterative process which you continue with. Now, when you follow this particular process, what you realize is, that in the first stage itself, where you are trying to figure out about the users, you will find that users are not one collective group. They are a different set of users, with different set of requirements. And based on that, there is a possibility of, maybe the basic functionality remains the same, but depending on the type of the user, and in order to kind of make them more the product more usable, you have to kind of design a range of products. So these are like 32 different types of hammer meant for different types of activities, different types of people. Kind of you can extrapolate to, say, for example, complex systems like that voting portal, So all the voters are not going to be, all the people using that particular portal are not going to be on the same level. There will be different set of users having different set of requirement, and how that system can cater is what design and learning is all about. Now, here's an interesting image, and when I was searching for few of the image, I got it. And the question was why blue, and then there are something. Few things can definitely relate with usability, or say, for example, bringing versatility into a product. I mean to say, building different kind of functionality within the same product. But apart from those things, there is something which in a way help me say that this looks very nice and beautiful and things like that. That is what kind of emotional connect. And probably given a chance, I won't be buying these boring hammers and all. I will be preferring something which is very interesting and it looks a little techy and things like that. And that is where you see that there is a progression which has happened. So the kind of design process which started with designing for solving a problem or a need, it kind of evolved into designing for making those products, technologies more usable. Now, in the current times, we are talking about experiences. We are talking about designing for the emotional impact, how you connect with the user. And that is where designing for emotion comes up with. Now, this is not a very new concept, and then form follows function and form follows emotion. Those kind of things have been there for quite a bit. But there are certain things which has happened over a period of time, and which is likely to happen in the next 5 to 10 years as far as designing as a field is concerned. So let's start with a very basic understanding of what is designing for emotion. So designing for emotion involves creating products, services, experiences that resonate deeply with the user, whoever the user category may be, and kind of invoking a positive emotional responses. So emotional doesn't mean all the time that, after seeing that product, we feel, like crying or, funny or something like that. It is that connection which actually is important, and this approach obviously enhances the usability of a product. If I connect, I love, I like, any product, the usability is going to accordingly improve. It doesn't mean that you should not build usability into a product. Yes, you should be. But apart from that, usability and functionality, but also fosters stronger connection and greater satisfaction. What actually is, so say, for example, in the current time, when the same product is being functionality by same product is being manufactured by a large number of company, what is going to be the distinction? And this emotional connect, stronger emotional connect is going to be a distinction. So to give you a very simple example, this is a shoe, no brand name shown on the shoe. Probably, the next shoe, functionally, it is achieving almost the same kind of thing, you know, and even quality wise, it is achieving the same thing. Which one will a user prefer and why? And that is what. So one other thing definitely which comes, that particular logo or identity in a way give assurance to me that it's a quality product, whereas the first one may not be kind of giving that assurance. But having said that, let's keep it aside. Apart from that, is there anything else which that particular brand identity or things or kind of is doing in kind of helping me decide? So there are certain things being done by a designer to create that particular emotional impact. To start with, we start with in the design thinking process with empathy. We try to understand what is their need, want, and desires, and what may be the emotional trigger points. That is very clearly, and that is the reason why we kind of develop persona. What kind of person or what kind of user category I'm designing for? What are their likes? What are their dislikes? What they kind of what are the behaviors, all sort of things comes into play when we are designing for emotion. We try to understand emotional triggers. It can be color, shape, texture, branding, all sort of things. And this is another thing which becomes a very, very important tool, especially in marketing and kind of advertising, storytelling, and normally kind of each and every brand, they have a story, they have a narration, they have a story behind their product. And that actually resonate with the user, creating a very meaningful context and emotional engagement. So once upon a time, and I was a very Nike fan, and the reason why it came, I watched one movie, and there was I'm forgetting the name of the movie right now, but in that movie, a Nike advertisement was shown, and the kind of punchline was "No games, just sports," and that in a way kind of connected and resonated with me very deeply. And what I realized is that apart from a particular brand shoe, which is shown here, I was not interested or not even looking at other branded shoes. Similarly, if you look at these advertisements, you really find what is the story, what is the narration, how they connect with the user and things like that. You know, then, many a times there are more number of approaches which is taken for designing for emotion. Say, for example, positive reinforcement, provide immediate and positive feedback to user actions, enhancing their sense of achievement and satisfaction. So, say, for example, if you have transferred the money using a particular app, you will immediately see some pop-up window, congratulations, doing that. That is a kind of positive reinforcement. So it could have been done without that, but that is kind of in a way say that satisfaction of yes, it's complete, and that connects at an emotional level. Gamification, gamification of app, and it is very, very popular in the current context, how to use gamification even in serious applications, like say for example share market trading. You will see the recent set of apps which is coming, where you're investing your money, but there is also a gamification approach in a very subtle way. They are using game design elements, rewards, challenges, and then the progress tracking that motivates you to engage more and more with those applications. So in a way, overall, designing for emotion in a way enriches users experience. It ensures that users journey is seamless and coherent, supporting whatever emotional response throughout the interaction which is required. In a way, these are kind of few of the examples. So say for example, when you order via Zomato, there is a tracking, you see it, what is the current state, there is a constant engaging, and these are all aspects of designing for emotions. You are sure about it, you are confident, yes, you're happy, it is coming, it has reached, things like that. Now, what are the major challenges when we are designing for emotions? So, few of the challenges which are listed here, and one of the challenges, in a way, today I'll be kind of talking about. So, say for example, understanding cross-cultural audiences. And in a globalized world, most of the product system and services are going to be used by kind of set of people which may have different experiences, which may have different cultural and other kind of backgrounds. So designing an all-inclusive product system and experience which actually appeals and connect in the same way is something which is a big challenge in front of the design industry. A lot of ethical considerations are, or ethical challenges are coming. Say, for example, what gives you the right of exploiting users by emotional manipulation? And a few of them may be unethical. Say for example, XYZ brand, we advertise that if you drink it, everyone, you become taller, stronger. It may not be, that may not be happening. So that is unethical practices even being done to connect emotionally. you know and today's topic is more technical in a way. So technical limitation in detecting emotion. So how address the limitations of the current technology? How are you going to capture emotion? So unless you are aware what kind of emotion is my product is triggering, how will you design for a positive kind of emotion or a positive kind of connect? And this is where today's discussion will be mainly focusing on. So say for example, emotions are complex in a way, and that is the reason why it makes things a little more difficult. So say for example, someone is happy. So what is happiness as an emotion? When I say happy, is it like 100% happy, 80% happy, and 80% another? So this is something which is kind of creating a lot of issues in understanding emotions and emotional responses of users in the context. So few things regarding understanding emotions, just to give a kind of uh, base before we can build upon it. So emotions are definitely integral to human experience, and it does influence our thoughts, our behaviors, our interactions, what we choose, what we don't, with whom you interact, with whom you don't interact, what kind of products you use, what kind of products you don't like using. So all those things actually connect very strongly with the emotions. And emotion is a very complex psychological phenomenon. And basically it involves three steps, and researchers and psychologists are still trying to kind of decipher and understand it better way. So this is one of the kind of explanation of this whole emotion thing. So emotion is a subjective experience. So say, for example, personal and internal feelings associated with an emotion, which can, definitely seeing the same thing, it can vary. So that is the reason why we call it a subjective experience. I can see the same instance happening, and then I can have a very different kind of experience. I can have a different kind of emotion. So that is the kind of first component of subjective experience in terms of emotion. The second is, once you have experience, there is a physiological response. So your body reacts to that particular emotional experience. And most of the time, these reactions you cannot control. It is involuntary and can include, say, for example, changes in your heart rate, breathing. Few of these changes may not be noticeable by you directly. So, which are often, kind of heart rate, breathing, hormone levels, and other, kind of physiological functions of your body. The third is definitely once you have experienced it, you had a kind of physiological response to that particular experience, and that actually triggers action, expressive response. So if you see something funny, your face will make a funny expression. Maybe you will laugh, or maybe you will put a smile on your face. So outward expression of an emotion, which can include facial expression, sometimes it can be expressed through body language, vocal tone, the voice. Say, for example, someone is nervous and in an interview or something like that. So just by the tone of the voice and all, one can figure out, what is happening, what is the emotional state of a particular individual. Now, how to measure emotion? So we have understood these three kind of distinct components of emotion: subjective experience, physiological response to that particular experience, and then externalization of that particular response, in terms of behavior and expressions, right? Now, how are you going to measure emotions? Because so the reason why we want to measure emotion or understand the emotion is, say, for example, I have designed a product, a complex product, maybe an interface application, maybe a physical product, maybe a car or something like that. Now I'm interested in understanding what is going to be the experience of a user, what kind of emotional kind of connect which will happen with the user, what are the places where I can improve, what are the places where there is negative emotions, and that is what makes understanding and measuring emotion very, very important. So in general, there are some self-report measures. In a way, I can simply, give a product to a set of user and ask them, how do you feel about it? What are the good things about it? Do you feel satisfied? Are you feeling happy about it? Do you feel that, there are certain component which is very frustrating to use and things like that? So that is one of the way. And there are standard kind of survey methods and questionnaires. So say, for example, there is instruments like positive and negative affect schedule, or self-assessment mannequins and those kind of things. So this is an example of, I've simply taken one screenshot from an existing kind of thing. So here you have kind of, in a way, all the major emotions that a human being can probably, experience and understand. And then there are a scale from 1 to 5. And after interacting with a particular product, one is supposed to kind of put ratings. So say, for example, interest wise, what is your level? And that way we can kind of, through such kind of questionnaire and self report measure, we can measure emotion to a certain extent. Then interviews, and for that, you have to practice, understand, and semi-structured or even sometimes structured interview. There are focus group studies and things like that. These are kind of different techniques, and through which you can kind of gain an insight into someone's emotional experience. So say, for example, when you visit Shiv Nadar University campus, and this was one of the assignment given in the class for people, for students, is to understand, kind of through a customer journey map, what are the emotional states of first time visitors, starting from reaching the campus to reaching the department to reaching the workshop, and try to understand where we can improve as a kind of institution. So these are kind of few of the ways in which you can at present measure emotions. However, you know, as I said, that it is very difficult to understand emotion. So let me take an example, and this is a particular website, and corresponding to that, there is a paper. The paper is titled uh, "Self-Report Captures 27 Distinct Categories of Emotions." And what was found out in this particular study is that emotions are not, pure. So, say for example, emotion of fear or emotion of excitement. So, what is excitement? If you try to understand, it will have components of fear. It will have components of uncertainty. So although excitement in general is a very positive kind of emotion, but to decipher that emotion, you will see that there is a certain kind of uncertainty, there is a certain kind of fear, there are other set of kind of prevailing emotions. So this particular experiment, it is an ongoing experiment, I guess. And what you have to do, so they have kind of identified different types of emotions, and if you keep your cursor on that particular emotion and the particular letter, so say for example, W is for romance. So if you keep your cursor there, it will show an image, and it will show that when the same thing was asked to a lot of people, what kind of emotion was, in general we can identify it as romance, but in the side chart you can see that what are the other things which creates that emotion of romance. So similarly, you can try it out yourself. So I won't be kind of going to the website and showing you that. You can try it out. Uh, and here is what the problem is in understanding emotion. So we consider emotion as distinct. When I say happy, I'm happy is pure, but it is not. There are a lot of things. So if I have to kind of compare emotion with a color wheel, so definitely you can say that these are red, this is white, this is blue. But intermediate colors, it becomes really difficult to understand and label that, okay, this is a real red, this is a pink, and in between those colors comes and red, pink, and things like that. So same thing happens with emotion, and especially with critical applications and critical decision making, the traditional way using questionnaire, self-assessment, and things like that sometimes may not be accurate, and probably you would like as a designer to get deeper into it. And that is where affect computing comes in. So affect computing, definitely, most of you may not have heard about, if I have to kind of very quickly introduce you to the topic. So affective computing is a multidisciplinary field. And what it does, it is focuses on development of systems and devices capable of recognizing, interpreting, processing, and sometimes even stimulating human emotions. Okay. So it is a kind of affective computing is a kind of a broad field of study, and which in a way designs systems and kind of devices which is capable of recognizing a kind of, and it is a multidisciplinary field. And if you have to kind of look into it, involves computer science, sort of programming, psychology, cognitive sciences, AI, aiming to create technologies that can interact with the human in a more natural, empathetic way. So the idea behind effective computing is to kind of come up with systems that can identify your emotional state. Based on that, it can kind of reconfigure, do certain things which makes your experience more pleasurable. However, we are not, in at least in this particular talk, interested in doing that. What we are more interested in, that how these kind of this area, effective computing, how they measure emotion, and can we use it in the day-to-day designing practices, and what kind of things which may happen in the coming times. So say, for example, we have seen three stages of emotion, and one of the stage, the last stage, is the behavioral or expressive response, you know, and facial expression analysis. So say, for example, I'm sitting in front of a computer, I'm using a particular kind of interface which have been designed, and there is a program running behind that which captures my facial expression and do an analysis, observing and coding facial expressions to infer what emotional state it may be. And parallelly, both the things are being recorded. So one can decipher that after reaching a particular stage, a person was more happy, probably with the facial expression, or was confused, or things like that. And there are at present good number of softwares. And once upon a time, when I was kind of doing my master's in design, these software were still kind of not very smart in a way. But now, to a certain extent, these software can detect and give you a lot of data, which can help you in figuring out what is working in your design, what is not working in your design. Similarly, there are kind of different kind of softwares which actually takes care of the body language by analyzing the posture, gesture, movement that conveys emotions. So these are kind of few of the ways in which you can measure emotions, not just by asking people, but also by kind of understanding their facial expressions and body language. Now, the last aspect and the most kind of certain aspect or concrete evidence is given by the body response, physiological response of the body, kind of giving. So a physical, say, for example, how your body is reacting to an emotional experience, that you cannot hide. And if we can effectively measure that, so say, for example, few of the things like heart rate, breathing, hormone level, and other physiological kind of parameters, if we measure, then probably we can better capture that emotional state of a particular individual or a user. So say, for example, existing, and these are existing technologies which you may be already using it, and they are already kind of tracking your kind of emotional state. So say, for example, heart rate, blood pressure indicates arousal and stress, and given the in the given context, one can figure out what is the state of a. There is something called galvanic skin response. What it does is a very simple equipment which measures changes in skin conductivity associated with sweating. So when you're nervous, when you are at a particular kind of emotional state, there is a certain change in your kind of skin conductivity, and in the device measures it, and based on that, using simple parameter, you can get different kind of waveform. And along with, and this can be done, say, for example, when a user is using a particular product, and based on that, to a certain level, you can very effectively pinpoint, what is the kind of exact emotional response corresponding to a particular element in your design. Apart from that, there is electroencephalography, EEG for short, that tracks brain activity related to emotional processing and things like that. So as I said, that it is already there in your life, and it is being done. And very soon, and till date, I guess, even before that, in the earlier days, those things were very cumbersome, big, can only be done in a laboratory setting and all. And only kind of researchers, design researcher, maybe a researcher in other fields were involved in kind of understanding those technologies and using it and accurately measuring things, emotional responses and all. But as you can see, a smartwatch can actually detect your heart rate, detect your galvanic skin response. It can, based on that, give your stress, real-time stress data. It can also track your mood. I'm not sure what kind of sensors they may be using, whether the sensors are accurate or not accurate. So all the watches, say for example, if you go for a cheaper set of watches, probably the sensors are not very accurate. But if you go for an expensive watch with a good sensor, there is a fair chance that they may give you a very accurate information. So this is just to show that things which look sci-fi, which looks only researchers can do, is being done using certain devices. So say for example, if you want to conduct a very simple experiment using heart rate, you have a smartwatch interface or product in front of you, and if I can get the data, probably I can kind of also correlate it with the experience of the user. However, we are going to focus on a couple of things. One of the thing is, EEG. So it is obviously a non-invasive methods. And what it does, it measures electrical activity in your brain. So different kind of parts of your brain. And this particular equipment measures the electrical activity which is happening. And it becomes a valuable tool in capturing and analyzing emotions. And it can even provide insights into how and which part of your brain is kind of responding to what level. And these things becomes very, very valuable for designers. So in a way, and this is one of the equipment which we have recently procured for our department, and trying to use it for designing purposes. So it's non-invasive. There is a cap, you wear it. And earlier days, such kind of things I have used, it was very complicated with wires and things like that. Now it has become very portable. You can wear a cap like thing and you can roam around, and the data is recorded in a small kind of. So what it does is that you may be looking at a product, you may be experiencing certain things, and you are wearing an electrodes actually is transferring all your signals to an amplifier, which is in a way recording the data. And this particular data can be kind of analyzed, and one can understand different types of waveform and what it correlates with. They can even correlate with self-assessment kind of data which a user might have, a researcher might have collected. And based on that, they can get a very accurate understanding of the emotional state of a particular user. This is one of the experimental setup. I am away from the campus right now, then that's why I could not kind of capture a real. It's I've used from an internet, but this is what we are talking about. So these small devices actually can capture very easily without much of hassle and laboratory settings and all. And this is, say for example, a studio setting maybe inside. One can even kind of, say for example, uh, test products and interfaces and live experiences. So say, for example, driving two-wheelers in India. So this is once again from a laboratory setting, but one can collect a lot of data, even outside in the field, where and what kind of point in time users kind of face difficulty, what is the pleasure points and things like that. So capturing, kind of such kind of experiences using EEG is something which maybe, very recent, in the recent time, 5-10 years, designers will be using in their designing processes. Another very kind of once upon a time, once again, this piece of equipment was very expensive and cumbersome, big, large, cannot be used outside and all. So what is called as eye moment recorder. Now it has kind of become like a specs, normal specs which you can wear. And what it does, it tracks your eye movement. So it records the video, what you are seeing at the same time, where your gaze is. And based on that, it gives a lot of data. Two of the types of data is where you started looking it from. So it gives some numbers and how it traveled from one point to the other point. So say, for example, in case of a website, I can measure and see, where my eyes are traveling and why I'm focusing only on those areas. What are the kind of elements which is attracting my attention? Second type of data is gives that, heat maps, where maximum amount of time I was looking at. Is there something interesting, and if you conduct it in an outdoor, say, for example, shopping experience and things like that, it can really give valuable information. It doesn't mean that at present designers are not doing. Definitely they are doing, but it is for more experienced people who really understand how to capture emotion. Uh, One can use a combination of eye movement recorder and EEG, and there I can kind of even capture more where I'm looking and what is my emotional response. So we can kind of capture both type of data, and based on that, we can analyze and improve a lot of kind of things in a day-to-day users product. This is a laboratory setting where such kind of devices can be used. And the good thing right now, which is happening, is that such devices are becoming smaller and cheaper. Second thing is that because we need not to understand in depth how brain waves function and all. So there are kind of different kind of applications and all, which makes that analysis simpler for a designer to in a way use. And very soon you will be seeing such kind of pieces of equipment in most of the kind of design studios and labs, which helps in capturing user emotions. Another kind of experiment which we are kind of trying to do is, say, for example, if I have created something in virtual reality, right? For our campus, we have designed a kind of recreational space. One of the student designed it. And it was very difficult for us to evaluate, in virtual reality. If I show virtual reality, in virtual reality, that space is being created, they will appreciate it and all. But what is the actual emotional kind of response to that? So EG along with virtual reality, the same thing can be used for gaming. Or these days, you will see a lot of kind of things being developed, complex things. So say, for example, very recently, IIT Guwahati, one of the faculty from IIT Guwahati, they have a kind of designed a virtual reality training setup for knee replacement surgery. Now, so that is one aspect of it, designing that whole experience and designing that whole setup. But apart from that, one can further refine it by collecting, very sensitive data through EEG or other kind of, physiological, by measuring physiological parameters, where, a doctor feels a little scared even in a virtual reality setup. These are few of the areas in which our university, specifically Department of Design, is interested in. So say, for example, visual narrative and cognition, or cognition and learning. So a lot of, and over a period of time, my understanding is a lot of teaching and kind of learning will move to the virtual environment, be it a laptop sitting in front of me, or maybe, kind of a virtual reality, as the kind of cost of the equipment and data speed will increase. Those things will definitely happen. So these are few of the areas in which, such kind of things can be used. And apart from that, I would like to connect this particular talk with my previous talk, which was focused more on design research. And what most of the things which we discussed today actually is focus on research for design. Right now, it may not be happening. It may be kind of appearing to be far-fetched, but believe me, in the near time, this will be, kind of way of capturing emotion and designing for the emotional impact. So that is what I thought of sharing today. So I should stop here. Uh, Thank you for a patient listening. I'm open to questions now.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor. Very insightful discussion or conversation about this aspect. And I think there are quite a few thoughts that went through my mind when when you were talking about this. So number one is the intrusiveness on people, right? So sometimes you are giving feedback to these organizations that are running this and doing this research, and how does one really deal with that aspect in such a scenario?
In a way, like variety of users and how to capture their emotions. That is what you're asking.
In the sense, it's intrusive, right? So some people would be willing, some people would find it intrusive.
Definitely, there are a lot of ethical concerns, and there are at present. So, say for example, if I'm wearing a EEG cap and roaming around, obviously I'll be more conscious about that cap, and maybe my behavior may change, and that may kind of give me a different set of data than expected. But over a period of time, what I've seen is that as things are becoming more inclusive, say, for example, the eye moment recorder, I have seen a bigger one with a hanging kind of things and all. Right now, it is just like wearing a specs, there is a small equipment and it is so seamless that you won't even notice it is there,
Okay.
you know. So definitely those are kind of at present certain limitations and ethical considerations are there. But what I personally feel is that in a very short period of time, these limitations will change. So to give you an analogy, once upon a time, there were big like speakers and all sort of people hanging on their shoulders, and that was a way of enjoying music, And then it came to cassettes and things like that, and all of a sudden those things vanished, and came iPod, and then it got integrated into the mobile phone. So the way with which technology is proceeding, such kind of technology will probably become more accessible, less intrusive in people life. The only thing is that to what extent designers should go, in kind of collecting those kind of data and manipulating. So ethical consideration definitely is a kind of big thing, even in virtual reality cases and other cases as well.
Right, right. And it seems like there needs to be a huge development in terms of hardware as well, in terms of
Yes,
being able to capture these
yes,
activities, right?
definitely, definitely,
So,
definitely.
so how do you see the progress of development of hardware in line with what needs to happen here?
See,
Um,
big
do
big
you think it's
companies.
growing at a like if I talk about conceptually, it looks like we are running at the speed of thought, but for hardware to match up, it takes a lot of time.
So a very simple example. So say, for example, I have a smart watch in front of me, and actually I was trying to understand how it works, what kind of sensor it has, how it is telling me that I'm happy or sad, whether I'm actually sad or happy, whether it is. So you see that, without us realizing, a lot of things have already seamlessly being integrated into our life. I'm not sure, whether the camera in front of me is capturing my emotional experience of using a particular website, or so many things. So these things are already there. I'm not saying, the only thing is bigger companies are not kind of straight away revealing things. Say for example, the case of Google Glasses. What is the reason why they stopped? So they may not be revealing what they are collecting, what they are doing with the data. But very soon, these things will become more accessible. And as far as the technology or the kind of piece of equipment is concerned, it has become cheaper all, now, and smaller in size and more portable. So say, for example, wireless connectivity. And also I need not to kind of, so when I was in masters, there was a piece of EEG equipment, and it is all wired, and there will be a lot of kind of amplifiers, and you have to understand those technology behind those amplifier, how to connect and all, and finally you get some signals, and then you try to understand that what it is telling. Right now things have changed. It is just one small like your earphone pod. It records the data, and from there actually there are smart set of softwares, AIs, which actually will infer the data for you and tell what exactly is happening. So that is what I personally see technology like this heading towards. Now let's see how far it is,
Ab-
like in time.
Absolutely. And, with the way Meta went so gung ho with the metaverse, we thought in 5 years, everybody will be walking around with these sort of devices, but it doesn't look likely.
Happening. Yes, yes, yes. Mainly, see, it is not like that people will not accept. So, say, for example, Paytm, who would have imagined, or Paytm or digital wallet, who would have imagined that I'll transact money using a mobile phone,
Yeah.
so easily. Even, say, for example, if today, and I'm really amazed sometimes when I go vegetable shopping in a small place and all, where local farmer comes and all, everyone is having that.
Yeah.
Bhaiya is paid, paid on that. That is something. And how long it took?
Yeah.
3 years, 4 years to adopt it, to reach
Yeah.
that level.
Absolutely.
So we
Absolutely.
are not sure if the test cases work for people, if it gives certain kind of convenience to people, maybe it gets accepted very quickly, more kind of faster than what we can imagine.
Truly fascinating. Truly fascinating. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Vikas. Quick questions from Chevy. All right. Could you give us some understanding of the design labs that are there at Shivnadar University?
Okay, so one of the kind of vision with which we started our undergraduate program is that we want to make our program future oriented. And to do so, obviously, not all the understanding is with me or with the team who are working, but we have involved prominent kind of designers, researchers from all over the world, and seek their advice that how design is progressing, what is going to happen. And based on that, apart from the traditional labs, we are slowly trying to set up labs which may be a little futuristic and may not be kind of at present being used by designer. So to start with, we have a basic lab setting of workshop where you can easily kind of prototype or kind of model things, which is like a traditional workshop anywhere else. We have also understood that 3D printing is going to kind of be more popular, as far as the manufacturing practices are concerned. So we have a 3D printing studio, AI programs, and how designers will be leveraging on it, and different kind of software collaborative platforms. So for that, we have one digital design studio with these kind of softwares installed where one can kind of learn and understand. We do understand that different types of sensors, electronics, microcontrollers are going to be integral to any kind of product. And to facilitate that, we have electronics and IoT lab. Uh, and apart from that, definitely we have a virtual reality lab. As of now, it is more on experimental level, more to understand, and we have kind of it has been with us for the last 3 4 years now. And very recently, we are adding these EEG and eye movement recorder and such kind of technologies. And there is a separate lab for that as well. You're on mute, Dion.
Yeah, sorry. So she goes on to ask. So Chevy goes on to ask, how would her next question is about what would be more unique about your school. All right. She said in comparison with other schools, but I think you can speak about your school, what makes your school very unique. And I
Yes.
think if we relate the previous DNES and this one, so there are two aspects that immediately come to my mind. One is the research orientation, and as far as today's topic goes, the futuristic approach, right?
Okay, understood, understood. So normally, like, and in my personal experience, since I'm the admission coordinator, what I've seen, and I had experience with kind of admitting master student as well as undergraduate student. So most of the undergraduate student, their way of evaluating an institute is based on how big your lab is. Whether anyone is going to use it or not, how many computers you have, what kind of softwares you have. Obviously, those things are important, and one should take into consideration those things, but their judgment should not purely be based on that. Their judgment should also be based on what I'm going to learn and how is it different from other places which they are going to teach. What will be kind of my career path in the next 10 years, 5 years, whether the program is giving me that credit. So talking about the uniqueness about our school, so definitely we are not a school, we are a department, and under a university setting and on the same campus, you will find more than 24 department, 25 departments. And these departments are so seamlessly integrated with each other. So the first benefit which you will get from our institute is that you will never work in isolation, you know, and that is what according to us is the future of design. You will always work with people from various disciplines, various departments, and to facilitate that, it has been integrated in our curriculum. So say for example, you can do a major minor, so you can earn a major degree in design and you can do a minor in all those 20 plus departments. So say for example, major in design, minor in computer science, major in design, minor in management, entrepreneurship, major in design, minor in, say, for example, history and archaeology. So all those options are there. So this is one of the differentiating factors, which is probably very few institutes are offering. Apart from that, we are a research focused university, and our focus of training undergraduate is not to make them just practitioners within an industry. Our objective of training designer is more to make them design leaders capable of understanding the business of design, take strategic decisions. So you just don't go and join an industry and design, kind of products. Go above that and understand strategic level decisions. So that is another kind of thing which we want our students or our curriculum in a way try to integrate those things. The third aspect is our future orientedness, and we have kind of brought in a lot of courses, a lot of knowledge bases from various kind of domains and discipline, and tried seamlessly integrated into our design curriculum that will prepare you better for kind of future challenges which is likely to happen in 10 years, 15 years down the line.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Vikas. And thank you, Shaivi, for asking those questions. I know that you're quite keen on considering Shivnadar University for this year's admission. So, Shaivi, hope this has been very useful to you and hope this has been useful to the rest of the group as well. For those of you who are still inclined towards applying to Shivnadar University, you could click on the application link, which has been pinned in the chat. We'll take one last question, Vijay, from Vijay. And the question is, does the Design Institute also come under a larger institute of eminence, right?
Yes.
So maybe, yeah.
I guess Neeraj can.
On that, yeah.
Yes.
Would you
Sorry.
like to take that, or would Neeraj take that?
Yeah, I don't mind taking it. So basically, let me tell you about Institution of Eminence. So let me give you a background of the Institution of Eminence. How does it work? So it is by the government of India, where only 4 private institutions have been selected out of around 3,600 institutions. So we are one amongst them, and we are proud to have that. The benefit of having an Institution of Eminence is that we would not be going through the same curriculum as the other institution might be going through. We have an authority to change our curriculum as per the latest one which is going on. So that's an added advantage being an institution of eminence. So we don't have to take an approval from any of the education authority to change our curriculum as per the latest one. So that is an add-on benefit which is definitely going to help out the student into that particular level. Vikas sir, if you want to add on something with that, yes, please.
Yes, definitely. And it doesn't mean that we don't follow all the norms. But say, for example, if we strongly feel that certain things need to change or need to improve, to give you an example, from day one, Shivnadar University have been offering a 4-year kind of undergraduate degree. So say, for example, even a BA and BSc program, which the university was offering, was for 4 years. That was actually not the norm a few years back. And later on, and we were very stubborn. We don't want to change that. We want to keep it for 4 years because we want to kind of give additional year for research to our students. And we continued. And at present, if you look at, we were proven right in a way. And now even UGC is recommending a 4-year undergraduate program. So whatever we feel strongly is should change and should be kind of good for a student, which can change the status quo for benefit of a student. We would be happy to take that. An institution of eminence in a way gives us that flexibility in a way.
All right, all right. Thank you. Yeah, so when we say institution of eminence, it applies to the whole university and not just the
Yes.
school in the university, right? I thought I'll just
Yes.
clarify that for you, Vijay. And with this, we're way beyond time. All right. Thank you so much for the interaction, for the question, and most importantly, Dr. Vikas and Neeraj, thank you for being here and gracing this occasion today. We've been happy to have you all here, and as always, it's fantastic interacting with Shivnadar University.
Thank you, Dion, for your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks a
Um,
lot.
uh,
Thanks a lot. And even to students, all the very best. And choose the best institute which you feel, one of the kind of thing which DQ Lab often talks about, that their role is to connect, students and institutions, and their objective is to provide options. Students are free to choose. So all
yeah.
the best.
And the right student, the right institution, because the
Right
right
institution.
student
Yes,
should
exactly.
not, because each institution offers a different experience, and you should know what experience you're looking for, and you should be able to match that. So that's really what we want to do, and hopefully the institution gets the right students with the right mindset in that institution as well. Yeah, so it's a win-win for everyone.
Yes.
All right. With that, we come to an end. Thank you. Dr. Vikas, if you can remain online, I will